going. All right. So next on our agenda is a discussion and potential action regarding BCD, Thornton Community Development's long-range work plan for fiscal year 21-22. So welcome to David Wayne Johnson and Austin Watkins. I'll hand it over to you.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. Austin Watkins, Interim Director of the Department of Community Development. We wanted to come to you today to present our comprehensive work program for FY 21 through 22 long-range planning activities, to give the board the idea of what we're working on already and projects that we also think are important that should move forward. And just to really, again, give the whole view of everything that's currently going on with long-range planning. So we essentially have our work put into 4 different buckets. The first bucket being affordable housing and community developments. The second bucket being regulatory reform. Third would be our state mandated updates, such as the Shoreline Master Program periodic review and update. And fourth is our existing 2021 docket that we've been directed to work on. Within these 4 buckets, again, there are things that we already have to work on that have been committed to by this board already, and there's other things that we're recommending. So, for example, under our affordable housing community development buckets, we are recommending a few new studies that we think would be helpful for the county. The first being a Port Havelock-Irondale Urban Growth Area Sub-Area Plan. And this study would essentially look at the current zoning, look at the conditions of the Port Havelock UGA after the sewer is implemented, and come with recommendations for potential changes to our comprehensive plan as well as the Unified Development Code, or UDC. So that's the first item we are recommending. That has not been committed to yet. That would be a new project. The second item we're recommending under that bucket is the affordable housing study and implementation strategies. Really, what this would do would be a study.
I'd love to hear the whole presentation and then go back.
Sure. Sounds good. Okay. Next one, regulatory reform. This is a new item. We have a lot of non-conforming lots in our county, meaning they are less than, for example, 5 acres or 10 acres or 20 acres in size, especially on a single-family perspective. And we also have a lot of plats that were platted prior to 1937. So anything that was platted prior to 1937 essentially did not go through any local government or state government review. They simply recorded the plats. And so a lot of very small parcels. And there's questions out there of which ones we should recognize as legal non-conforming uses and which ones we should not recognize. And that's not only from a plat perspective, but also from a general development perspective of plats that have already had partial development on it. There's also some other issues that align with environmental public health of being able to meet minimum size requirements for example, on-site sewage, and also issues with the assessor's office. So this is something DCD has been, I think, struggling with along with some other county departments for a very, very long time, dating back, I think, to the 90s probably, is when it first really came about. And we are addressing some of these issues through code interpretation, hopefully this week, but that will be kind of a temporary fix until we can look at the whole picture that involves, things more than just DCD, especially assessors as well as public health. The next one, and this is already committed, is our Shoreline Master Program process that hopefully we come back to the board every year with, work programs aligning our long-range work program with our overall department work program is important. I do want to mention one other thing really quickly. Sorry to interrupt. But if the board does want to move forward with this work program in its entirety, 2 of these actions, the transient housing code revisions, as well as the legal lot of record code revisions, would require direction from BOCC to Department of Community Development to initiate that work on those 2 items.
I'm sorry, Austin, can you repeat those 2?
It's the legal lot of record code revisions and the transient housing code revisions. Since those are both UDC amendments, our code does require the board to direct DCD to start work on those.
Okay, thank you. Heidi, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I have 2 things. One is I've been having some conversations with folks in Hadlock about the sewer, and a few people have reminded me, in light of our proposing or suggesting a sub-area plan, that we did a lot of that work when we developed the performance standards for the UGA back 20 years ago. It's just that most people who are saying we don't have a plan for what Hadlock's going to look like don't know of it. I mean, performance standards is kind of a jargony term, right? They don't immediately go to, that's what my neighborhood's going to look like. And so I went back and read through the performance standards over the weekend, and, you know, it does get at a lot of what people are talking about. So I'm wondering if it's less a sub-area planning process, but, you know, community meetings reviewing the performance standards that we already have. And that might lessen some of the work required by DCD. If we've already done that work, why are we proposing to do it again? And so that was one thing, that question that I was bringing. And then if I could say fork there, I would say let's do the legal lot of record work, because there's, you know, as we all know, there are specific developments that are constrained by the question about antiquated plats, and neighborhoods and communities kind of, you know, with their arms up in the air now, trying to understand how they all thought they were moving into a 5-acre zone, and now there's 70 houses being proposed for the lot next door. So I think that that's really important work, and so I would underline that, highlight, get my highlighter out, highlight that, and revisit the way to get done what we need to get done with the Port Hadlock community around the sewer community engagement piece, because there might be another way to take care of what people are expressing that they want. So those were my two things in reaction to your list. I fully support what you brought as a work program, and I also recognize it's a huge amount of work, and we're in transition, and often is like it's tomorrow your last day. So we're all devastated by that, but you don't have to listen to me talk about that here. But anyway, I think that we need to think about the capacity of DCD and lead our shoulders into getting that new director hired. So, and those are my comments. Thank you for your work, gentlemen.
And just really quickly on the sub-area plan, the reason we, obviously, one of the reasons we're including this is based upon feedback from the board already. But, we're not starting from scratch. We have good code already for most of the Port Hadlock. But there are some tweaks I think can be made to it to make it a little more efficient and a better use of the sewer once we have it online. An example of that is potentially allowing multifamily development within the commercial zoning district. So I don't foresee this as a starting from scratch, but also a way to look at the community and engage the community. Something I just also want to note: planning has changed, since 20 years ago. There's a big push to move to form-based codes and all these various ways of engaging the public and maybe having slightly different performance standards. So from that point, I would say I still think it's a valuable exercise, and it's a good use of the department's resources.
I'll jump in here and say it's really great to see that the department has put some language around what I think the commissioners have been asking for a little while, and appreciate that we've been heard. We are reflecting what we are hearing in the community as well. These aren't our ideas, but thank you for taking action to advance these issues further. I'm curious, I certainly have heard of both the challenges that you face with non-conforming lots and the public's difficulty in understanding historic plats and the development potential that their neighbors might have that they didn't know they had. Do you think dealing with the legal lot item here on your list would actually alleviate some of that kind of misunderstanding, or is that outside of the scope? Because there are rights associated with a platted lot regardless, right?
So this is a really complex question with a complex answer, and I do think it's important to have a community dialogue on this issue, regardless of how the policy comes out. Just for the fact that there are expectations of, from property owners, expectations from neighbors, and those sometimes are they're conflicting. So we do have a good amount of policy choices here we can make with how to recognize plats based on certain points in time, and that's consistent with some attorney general opinions that look at whether or not we should be accepting these annotated plats and whether or not there's enough development there in those plats or historical sales of those individual lots to create some sort of equity argument that we should recognize them. The real concern is that the ones that are particularly before 1937, again, there was absolutely no land use review of them at all. So the question is, should the county even be recognizing this as, non-conforming parcels in the first place? And I'll use Kitsap County. Kitsap County has a lot of legal record ordinance. I encourage you guys to take a look at it. But I believe that their primary test is whether or not the lot was platted after 1972, which is when they adopted their subdivision regulations. So they picked their local point in time in 1972, which I think is kind of on the very conservative end of things. And then we have some places like King County, for example, that has a legal lot of record policy that accepts annotated plats as long as there's certain development standards, such as roads and water and septic or sewer. They're there. So we can probably go further than that. So my point is, I think it's a conversation for the board, a conversation for the Planning Commission, and also for the community, because we have a lot of options, and right now what the county has been doing has just been accepting all plats for the most part as non-conforming development, and that's been our kind of unofficial policy. We have been, the larger ones, looking to see if they meet the minimum requirements of the attorney general opinions, but it is a complex topic, and it's something that I think has really been problematic for not only our department but also the assessors as well as public health for a very long time.
I would also add to that, sorry, Kate, that our Planning Commission, I think, has an opportunity to do more work in conjunction with us on these issues. I don't think we utilize them enough. I don't think they feel they're utilized enough. And there's certainly a great public forum for this kind of discussion. So, I mean, at least two of the items on here, the transient rental code and what was the other one? We'll need to go through the Planning Commission process, but I think, they're forming a subcommittee to do work on sea level rise and the affordable housing stuff. So this may be an opportunity to them to do some of that community outreach.
Thank you. No, that's helpful. Because, I would prioritize everything under the affordable housing header here. Is it 3 or 4 that you have listed here? And then, many of the others have already been determined or required or part of our docket process for this year, which kind of leaves out that legal lot of record as the only one that I guess I'm saying I'm not prioritizing. So I don't know if it's helpful to just have a sense of kind of what our priority is. But I think we really need to be beefing up as many tools as possible for affordable housing as we can right now. And I know all of these have some potential to contribute to that, but I believe the transient housing, the homeless, how do you define it? Development regulations for temporary homeless facilities, those all seem really pressing and kind of critical right now to me. The legal lot of record less so, but I wonder if that's something that the Planning Commission could be teeing up in the meantime. Thoughts, Greg? Or staff or commissioners?
I generally agree with you. I think these are all important. I think the legal lot of record is important too. And I guess I just wanted to say, I think Mark has indicated, and I agree with, a more involved budget process. And I think a lot of these questions, we're going to have some tough budget questions, and I hope that DCD comes prepared to really engage with the BOCC about budgetary needs, budgetary capacity as we go through this, because I think there's a lot of we need to help BCD help our residents.
And to that approach, one of the first tasks will be for the long-range planners that are assigned to this. We'll be coming up with index scopes of work as well as level of efforts, basically a budget for all of these tasks, figure out exactly what can or cannot be done. So there will be some further refinement, as David has obviously mentioned, of this. And I think there is a high probability that there will be an ask for some consultant services or additional budgetary support for this package. But I think at this point, we're quite honestly, I consider it policy direction on if this is what you want us to move forward with, and we will spend our time doing the scopes of work, level of effort, all of that fun stuff, and probably come back for a more in-depth budget conversation at a later point.
So you need us to make those motions to do the code revision today, right?
Correct, yes. We would need one motion directing BCD to begin the code work for the transient rental as well as the legal out of record items.
I'll move that the BOCC directs DCD to initiate code revisions in both the transient housing code revisions and the legal lot of record code revisions work plan.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you very much. Like I said, just really appreciate seeing these ongoing community concerns be brought to the fore, and look forward to digging in further with DCD. Oh, and I want to say welcome to Jody Adams too. Sorry to put you on the spot, Jody, but we look forward to working with you. David, yes.
I just want to take the opportunity to thank Austin Watkins for the stellar, amazing work he's done, not only as the planning manager and the interim director, but as the prosecuting attorney, civil deputy. He's had a lot of different hats, and we're really going to miss him. But hopefully this means I can call you once in a while if I've got a problem. And I'm just wondering if you got your crystal ball.
Yeah, I don't, unfortunately. And I want to thank the board and Mark and Mr. Hunsucker as well, and Carolyn, everyone else I've worked with over the past three years with Jefferson County in my various roles. I've really enjoyed my time here, and will miss this board and this group a lot. And just want to thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Austin. You've provided so much service to the county. I selfishly get to say that I still benefit a little bit from Austin because he's going to be representing my husband at the city of Seattle. So, it's been a pleasure to work with you, and really wish you all the best.
Yeah, thanks, Austin.
Austin, in my time here, there's nobody I've relied on more. My short time here. And I'm going to be frowny face now. I miss you. Thank you.
You're a uniquely capable person. Really.
I'm lucky. Don't forget how to get back here.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks.